The Turkish president has announced that the start of a military operation in the Syrian province of Idlib is, quote, a matter of time. Recep Tayyip Erdogan added he's been dissatisfied by talks with Russia on the situation in the area.
Turkey has made all kinds of preparations to implement its operational plans in Idlib. As in every operation, we say, we can come suddenly one night. To put it more clearly, Operation Idlib is now a matter of time. We will not leave Idlib to the regime that still does not understand our country's determination in this matter, and to those who encourage it. We never intend to shoulder the burden that the developments in this region will place on our country.
Clashes between the Syrian government and armed groups occupying the province have been going on for months now. Moscow says Turkey has failed to separate the moderate opposition from terrorists in the area. Footage shows a Turkish military convoy crossing the Syrian border. A large convoy of tanks, armoured vehicles and supply trucks are reportedly moving towards the outskirts of Idlib. My colleague Maria Finoshina joins me in the studio now. You've been covering this for us. Masha, military action looking sort of pretty imminent, and the sort of threat stroke promise from Erdogan there. What's the Russian reaction been to that? Well,
Russia's reaction remains very clear. Turkish military operation on the Syrian soil, in this case in the country's northern province of Idlib, would be the worst case scenario. We heard that earlier on Wednesday from President's spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, and Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov already commented on Erdogan's statement. Let's take a listen.
Our friends have failed to separate militants from terrorists in the time frame under the 2018 agreement. At the same time, provocations from the Idlib zone, shelling of the Syrian armed forces, civilian targets and the Russian Khmeimim airbase have continued. Naturally, the Syrian armed forces, reaffirming their commitment to the original Idlib agreement, including ceasefire agreements, respond to such unacceptable provocations, and we support them in this.
So Turkey, as you can see and hear from Mr. Erdogan, is not happy with Syrian army activity in Idlib, the counter-terrorism activity that Moscow fully supports. And we hear from Mr. Lavrov that this is nothing but a reaction to terrorist activity in that region. And it has been Turkish responsibility to separate moderate opposition and Ankara-backed armed forces based in Idlib from terrorists, to make this counter-terrorism operation easier and to minimize this violence in that region, something that hasn't been clearly done by Ankara very well. So it's in there, Mr. Lavrov is not saying it directly, but we understand that his advice is for Turkey, instead of accusing Damascus and Moscow right now, Turkey better mind its own commitment.
So we had Turkey, Russia, other parties brokered this agreement a few months ago. It seemed like everyone was pretty much on the same page at that point. Now it feels like Turkey are kind of pushing the boundaries of what they've agreed to. How surprising is it that Erdogan's taken this stance? No surprise at all. Let's be honest. It has been just a matter of time to hear from Turkish leader that the Turkish operation in Idlib is the matter of time. And here we go. We heard that. And there have been in the last days several signals heard from different Turkish politicians, different levels, indicating this rise in Turkish dissatisfaction of how things develop in the region. And actually, it's not for the first time that we hear that from Mr. Erdogan, despite numerous talks between the Russian and Turkish side, including between foreign and defense ministers of both countries. So here's Mr. Erdogan just recently actually sending the same message.
The Syrian regime, as well as the Russian forces and the Iran-backed militants acting with them in Idlib, are continuously attacking civilians, committing massacres and causing bloodshed.
And very interesting and important for me, I believe, to stress is that Mr. Erdogan's criticism and accusations toward Moscow coincided, ironically, with a dramatic shift in Ankara-Washington relations, with Mr. Pompeo openly backing Turkey and saying that America is ready to stand behind its NATO ally, and sanctions lifted and all that, warming between the two countries.
Yeah, sounds like the tectonic plates of international relations are shifting once again. Erdogan has made it clear he's not happy with the situation in Idlib. What exactly is going on there right now?
I can't say that Moscow or Damascus is happy with the situation in Idlib. The situation there remains very dramatic. Terrorist activity is very high. Terrorist attacks continue every day. People are dying, including civilians. You have to remember that this is a very vast region, the province of Idlib. It's home to up to 3 million people. Of course, it's hard to say exactly how many people still live there. Civilians are among them, and they are very often used by terrorists as human shield, and actions needed to protect these people, to save these people, to return peace to that region. And this is what Moscow and Damascus with Moscow's help, trying to achieve in Idlib. And of course, it would be much easier to do with Ankara's help. But now we hear Mr. Erdogan that he is almost ready to start operation against Syrian army. So that sounds kind of like counterproductive in this case. So he's not helping anymore. Ankara is not helping Damascus, finish terrorists in that region, but rather doing the opposite.
OK, many thanks, Maria Financial, with the latest on our developing story.